Let's talk about one of the most legendary sequels in animation, Ben 10 Alien Force. 5 years have passed since Ben last used the Omnitrix, but when Earth faces a new alien threat, he's forced back into the action. Oh, by the way, if you haven't seen it yet, we've also covered the original Ben 10 series on the channel, so be sure to check it out. So, let me introduce you to the main characters of the series. First up, we have Ben Tennyson, an ordinary kid who stumbles upon the Omnitrix, an alien watch that lets him transform into a variety of alien species, each with its own unique abilities. Then there's Gwen, his cousin, who also has magic powers and is always there to help. Next, we've got Kevin Levin, once an enemy, now a friend, who has the ability to absorb any material and transform his body into it. And finally, there's Max, Ben and Gwen's grandfather, who just so happens to be the greatest plumber out there. In other words, the ultimate intergalactic law enforcement agent. Alright, buckle up. It's hero time. Episode 1. Ben 10 Returns. Part 1. Kicks off with Ben at school playing a soccer match, which, by the way, his team wins. After the game, feeling proud of his medal, Ben heads over to his grandpa's van. But when he gets there, something feels off. His grandpa is nowhere to be found, and the place looks like it's been turned inside out.
Oh, man!
As Ben tries to figure out what happened, he soon uncovers a hologram with a message from his grandpa that basically says Max is in a situation, investigating new alien activity, and he has the Omnitrix. This only confirms Ben's suspicions and that something's not right, since he's the one who has the Omnitrix. Confused and unsure of what to do, Ben decides to find Gwen, who by now is a martial arts pro. Together, they encounter Magister Labrid, an old alien friend of Max who claims that he's gone missing during a mission.
You're the legendary Ben Tennyson?
Guess so.
Knowing they need to rescue Grandpa Max, Ben decides to use the watch again, and follows Labrid to their only clue in Max's investigation, an illegal trade of laser weapons, led by none other than Kevin Levin. That's right, Kevin, his old nemesis. As Ben chases Kevin, struggling to grasp the new upgrades on the Omnitrix, Gwen and Labrid take on the Forever Knights and Aliens, both of whom are not only part of the trade, but also their enemies. In the middle of the chaos, Ben transforms into Swampfire for the first time, a super cool plant-alien hybrid that can control fire and regenerate. Ben manages to capture Kevin, but the Forever Knights and Aliens get away. Pushing for answers, he pressures Kevin to spill what they've been hiding. At first, Kevin refuses, but when Gwen asks, something shifts. He agrees to help, leading them straight to the Forever Knights hideout. Continuing with episode 2, we are inside the Forever Knights hideout. Ben and the others encounter not only the Knights, but also a dragon. Ben immediately activates the Omnitrix, transforming into Echo Echo, who, for anybody unfamiliar, is one of Ben's transformations with ultrasonic and cloning powers. Small dudes with big voices, basically.
You could warn somebody when you're gonna do that.
Anyway, Gwen fights with her magic. Kevin uses absorption powers, and Labrid relies on alien tech. Even though the squad manages to defeat the Knights and the dragon, Labrid is gravely injured, and before passing away, he gives the trio one final command: finish the job and uncover the source of the alien weapons, as this is just the beginning of something much bigger, a threat against Earth and their key to finding Grandpa Max. After Labrid's death, Kevin decides to team up with the duo, and with Gwen's magic, they trace the weapons to their source. Soon, the trio arrives at a mine shaft, where Kevin takes down the entrance guard, who turns out to be a alien wearing a Budanoic display mask. Inside the mine shaft, the trio discovers a massive ship filled with hundreds of aliens. To sneak his way in, Ben uses the display mask and transforms into one of them.
How do I look? About the same. Taller?
Though they manage to get onto the ship, Gwen quickly notices that Grandpa Max isn't in here. Nevertheless, the trio decides to continue with their mission and destroy the weapons room. But of course, it doesn't take long for them to get spotted by the aliens. So Ben transforms into Humongosaur to kick their butt. Humongosaur is another transformation that is, well, humongous, kinda dinosaur-like. You know, as the name implies, he's also like super strong. Anyway, just when the gang starts to think that they've got it all under control, the hybrid Commander steps in and fights back. Things don't go so well for the trio. Commander is just too powerful. He plans to eviscerate the nearby town in order to get rid of any witnesses. But before his plan can come to fruition, Ben, with a stroke of luck, manages to destroy the supply ship just in time, saving the whole town. After this, Kevin decides to keep helping Ben and Gwen search for Max, while also trying to solve the case their grandpa was working on. Meanwhile, somewhere else, the Hybrid Supreme learns about everything that's happened, and that Ben is back with the Omnitrix. Next up is episode 3. Everybody talks about the weather. During a night drive, Ben, Gwen, and Kevin notice that Kevin's plumber badge is emitting an unusual sound, which they soon realize is a sort of message they believe is from Grandpa Max.
Okay, that's worth breaking some traffic laws.
By the way, plumber badges aren't something you just give the guy who fixes your sink for doing a good job. They're actually the badges of an intergalactic law enforcement agency known as plumbers. And no, I don't think they'll come fix your leaky faucet. Without hesitation, the trio decides to follow the signal, as they're sure it's a GPS tracker for plumber badges. However, instead of finding Grandpa Max, they come across Alan. The two duke it out, and in the fight we get to see Ben's latest transformation, Jet Ray. This guy is some sort of manta ray looking alien that shoots neuroshock blasts that can seriously mess up somebody's nervous system. Cool stuff. Anyway, Ben and Alan narrowly escape from police, and Alan reveals that he's half human, half alien, which explains why he can transform into Heat Blast. If that name's triggering your nostalgia receptors, it's because Heat Blast is actually from the first series. As a reminder, Heat Blast is essentially the Human Torch from Fantastic Four, but you know, an alien. The Alien Torch. Alan says that his father, who's also a plumber, gave him the badge. After hearing this, Kevin suggests that Gwen might also have alien blood, as it's common among humans and would explain her magical abilities. But Gwen insists that her magic comes from magic talismans and books instead.
That's a $400 speeding ticket.
I know.
Later, the group stumbles upon a weather machine built by the DN aliens. After fighting them off, they realize that these machines have been set up all over, since the DN aliens require a cold climate to proliferate. Ben then invites Alan to join their team, but he ultimately decides to stay behind and help the police deal with future threats instead. That said, he assures Ben that he's just a call away if they ever need his help. Let's take a look at episode 4, Kevin's Big Score, as it has some important details we need to go over.
Still not buying the nice guy act, Kevin.
Ben?
In short, Kevin fixes Grandpa Max's van and runs away with it, planning to sell it to one of his dealers to get the money he needs for a hologram. However, the deal goes south, and instead Kevin goes directly to Volcanus, one of his old enemies, to try and negotiate with him. But that plan also falls apart as Volcanus ends up capturing him. Luckily for Kevin, Ben and Gwen arrive just in time to rescue him. Time out! This is the moment when Ben transforms into Big Chill for the first time. This dude is a humanoid, moth-like alien that can turn himself partially invisible, fly, and freeze everything around him. He is the coolest character. He's a really chill guy. Besides feeling betrayed at first, Ben and Gwen forgive Kev. After all, Kevin did all this to help him.
What about him?
What about him?
As the hologram he was after was another message from Grandpa Max. In this new message, Max tells Ben to form a team with the other plumber kids, as he will need their help. In episode 5, All That Glitters, Ben, Gwen, and Kevin encounter another plumber kid named Mike Morningstar, killer name, who lends them a hand as they struggle to save people from a car accident. Blown away by his heroism and how well informed he is about the plumbers, Ben doesn't hesitate to invite Mike to join their team. Kevin, however, isn't on board. He doesn't trust Mike and suggests waiting to get to know him better. Ben, however, disagrees, convinced that Kevin is just jealous, because Gwen clearly likes Mike, and the feeling seems mutual. Outside of the love triangle trouble, there's also indications of some serious energy issues at the local power plant. Upon arrival, the gang find a creepy-looking zombified girl harnessing energy from the plant. A battle quickly ensues as a number of other zombified high schoolers ambush Ben and co. During the bout, we get to witness yet another of Ben's new transformations. That's right, Chroma Stone. This crystalline alien is the epitome of prismatic power. He absorbs energy only to conduct it back onto his enemies in bright rainbow energy blasts. Anyway, Chroma Stone, Kev, Gwen, and Morningstar take down the zombie energy stealers, and in the process, Mike even manages to save Gwen. Following the battle, the love triangle drama is back in full swing, when Mike invites Gwen to dinner. Kevin doesn't hesitate to follow them. There's just something about that guy, Morningstar, that doesn't really sit right with him. Ben thinks Kevin is being ridiculous and jealous, and tries to stop him, but ultimately ends up tagging along. Once they reach the dinner/date place, Ben and Kevin quickly realize that Mike isn't the good guy that he pretends to be. Turns out he's been sucking the energy from the girls all over the city to power up, turning them into his own personal zombified squad.
Why use your powers to help people when you can use them to get whatever you want?
And guess what? Gwen is his latest victim. Damn, that's pretty dark. Ben and Kev jump in to take down Morningstar, with Ben even pulling out Jet Ray. Despite their efforts though, they fail, as he's become too powerful. However, somehow, Gwen manages to break free, sucking her energy back and defeating him. Not only does she leave Mike completely drained, but also helps restore the other girl's energy and go back to normal. All's well that ends well, I guess. I'd keep Morningstar in the back of your mind though. Something tells me we haven't seen the last of him. In episode 6, Max Out, things really get real. First off, Gwen's brother Ken, who, by the way, has no idea about the plumbers or alien stuff, goes missing. So naturally, Gwen, Ben, and Kevin start searching for him. Eventually, the trio track him down at an alien base just in time to stop him from fully transforming into one of them. Ken reveals to the trio that Grandpa Max is somewhere in the base too, so they all need to go and rescue him. When they finally find him, Grandpa Max explains that the DNA aliens have been putting together a DNA army by producing parasites that turn humans into them, and they need to shut that down ASAP. While the gang focuses on destroying the parasites, Grandpa Max fights the hybrid commander. But the commander is just way too strong. Max is in trouble, so Ben and the others rush back to help, but he stops them, insisting they stick to the plan and save Earth.
You'll have to take it from here. I know you can do it. I believe in you.
Then, in a shocking move, he sacrifices himself by detonating a grenade that wipes out everything in the area. Now, without Grandpa Max, Ben is crushed. But the group knows they have to keep going, protect Earth, and honor the promise they made to him and Labrit. I know that last episode hit pretty hard, so let's have a really quick look at episode 7, Peer Pressure, to lighten things up a little bit. So in short, Ben finally asks Julie, the high school crush, out, and she actually agrees. At the pier, where the date is taking place, everything seems to be going pretty smoothly, until an alien named Ship, who can merge itself with technology, suddenly starts chasing Ben. Now, Ben is stuck fighting Ship while also making sure Julie doesn't find out about his alien powers. Oh, and before I forget, Ben transforms for the first time into Brainstorm, a crab-like alien with super intelligence. Guess he's got the brain power to handle it. It's a clever name, too. Things take a turn for the worse when Ship kidnaps Julie, forcing Ben to go full hero mode and reveal his big secret. Though surprisingly, she finds it pretty amusing. Turns out all that chasing wasn't to harm Ben, instead it was to get his attention. Ship was actually leading Ben to his crashed spaceship in the forest, where the pilots desperately needed a plumber's help to repair it. In the end, Ben and Julie helped the aliens.
And sent it off to find the nearest plumber.
Because your sink was clogged?
And while the day definitely didn't go as planned, it's safe to say Julie won't be forgetting this one anytime soon. Moving on with episode 8, What Are Little Girls Made Of? Ben, Gwen, and Kevin spot a mysterious woman leaving flowers at Grandpa Max's favorite spot. Curious, they follow her and soon discover that she's Verdona, their grandmother, who, as it turns out, is actually an alien from the Anodite species.
He was my grandpa too.
Really?
Gwen quickly learns that the magic she thought she got from books and talismans was actually her alien genes kicking in. Verdona is thrilled to see that one of her grandchildren has inherited her abilities, and immediately invites Gwen to her home planet for training. However, Gwen isn't so sure about this, because even if she would like to learn more about her power, she doesn't want to leave Ben and Kevin behind. After thinking it through, she decides to stay. This upsets Verdona so much that she completely loses it. And in her intention to make her change her mind, Verdona tries to destroy Gwen's physical body to show her what her true power could look like. Of course, Ben and Kevin step in to protect Gwen. I mean, destroying her body sounds like too much, right? Ben transforms for the first time into Spider Monkey, an alien whose name says it all. A fusion of a spider and a monkey. Super random. I know, but who wouldn't want a monkey with 8 legs? And a fight against her own grandmother begins. But the fight doesn't last long.
Dude, I don't know if I can pound your grandma.
Gwen manages to make Verdona understand that she's happy being half human. Though a bit disappointed, Verdona understands her decision and returns to her planet, assuring Gwen that whenever she's ready, she'll be more than happy to teach her everything about Anodites. That brings us to episode 9, The Gauntlet. And really, there's not much to say here, but Ben transforms for the first time into Goop, a green gelatinous humanoid that can take any shape at will. Moving right along, in episode 10, Paradox, Ben, Gwen, and Kevin cross paths with Paradox.
Paradox. Oh, yes, that'll do. That'll do very nicely.
A time traveler who was also a scientist. Turns out that 50 years ago, Paradox built a time travel machine. But when testing it out, something went horribly wrong. Paradox got trapped inside a time bubble where he remained for 100,000 years. Yeah, that's a long time. Of course, after spending all that time stuck in the void, he mastered the secrets of time travel. But despite his vast knowledge, he needs Ben's help. The same night his experiment failed, a time-accelerating creature escaped, and now it threatens to destroy Earth's future. The gang team up to fight it, but they quickly realize that there's a catch. Anybody who touches the creature ages instantly. Ben comes up with a plan to go back 50 years to the exact moment of the failed experiment, believing the key to destroying this creature must lie there. And he's right. The creature is actually Paradox's assistant, who was also sucked into the time void. Ben stops this from happening again, and the future of humanity is saved, as history becomes rewritten. Let's take a quick look at episode 12, Plumber's Helpers, as it contains a few key details we need to keep in mind going forward. So, in short, Ben, Gwen, and Kevin cross paths with Helen and Manny, 2 young plumbers hunting down aliens. Mistakenly believing Ben and his team are a threat, Helen and Manny chase them down.
Let me out of this bubble, then we'll see what you got.
Quiet!
almost eliminating them using a machine they've been using on every alien they encounter. However, they soon realize that the trio are plumbers just like them, and that their so-called disintegrator machine isn't actually destroying aliens but sending them into the null void. Realizing their mistake, Helen and Manny decide to enter the null void themselves. After all, as Ben points out, some of the aliens they sent there might actually be plumber kids. So Helen doesn't hesitate to go in and try to rescue them. Let's take a quick look in episode X = Ben + 2. In short, in this episode, Ben transforms for the first time into Alien X, the most powerful alien in the Omnitrix. What makes him powerful isn't just the fact that he can literally do it all, warping reality, time, and space with ease at any level, it's also because he has 3 distinct personalities. Serena, the voice of love and compassion, Bellicus, the voice of rage and aggression, and Ben, the voice of reason. But like everything good, there's always a downside. The tricky part about having 3 personalities is that if they don't agree, Alien X becomes completely immobile.
Did you ever decide anything before?
Ben learns this the hard way when unable to reach an agreement with Bellicus and Serena, who, by the way, are constantly at odds. He realizes he can't control Alien X or return to his original body. That's why when Ben finally gets them to agree and returns to his body, he vows to never use that transformation again. You know, just to avoid dealing with those two ever again. Honestly, totally understandable. Season 2 kicks off with episode 1, Dark Star Rising. So remember what happened in the previous season with Mike Morningstar? The handsome guy who drained the energy from high school girls to get all powerful? Well, guess what? He's back. But this time, since his energy and glow are gone, he's rocking a mask and calling himself Dark Star. Get it? Dark. Because he's not shining anymore. It's Dark Star. Anyway.
Dead men don't need names.
The trio quickly fights him back, sending him to the null void. I guess this might finally be his end. Episode 2, Alone Together. Ben ends up teleporting to a desert planet along with a hybrid commander. Long story short, they have to work together to get back home safely. Even though they're basically enemies, Ben and the hybrid commander form an unlikely bond.
Stop that. This instant.
Why?
And end up becoming kind of friends. Just, keep that in mind. Okay? Continuing with episode 3, Good Copy, Bad Copy, Ben, Gwen, and Kevin come across what seems to be Ben's clone. Except this one also has an Omnitrix. But that can't be possible, as there's only one Omnitrix in the whole universe. His name is Albedo, and he reveals that he's stuck in Ben's form and desperately wants to get his original body back. His plan? Steal Ben's Omnitrix and claim its power for himself. Obviously, the team isn't going to let that happen, so they decide to fight him. In the middle of a battle, Azimuth, the Omnitrix creator, appears and puts an end to the fight. It turns out Albedo is actually Azimuth's assistant, who in his obsession with the Omnitrix's power went against his orders. As punishment, Azimuth takes him to prison. Before leaving, Azimuth warns Ben that difficult times are ahead, that he needs to be ready. Meanwhile, in prison, Albedo makes it clear, this isn't over. He will have his revenge.
Bring me chili fries!
In episode 4, Save the Last Dance, Kevin invites Gwen for the school dance. Meanwhile, Ben has been noticing that every time he transforms into an alien, he loses all memory of what happens. Which, it's a pretty major problem, I would say. He tries asking Kevin for help, but Kevin is so focused on the dance that he can't. With no other option, Ben turns to Julie. She agrees to help, and suggests Ben to transform into an alien while she takes notes on everything that he does. Ben shifts, and it's clear that something is wrong. He can't transform into any other alien except Big Chill. The worst part is, he just won't stop eating metal. Well, I guess that's what could happen, I guess.
Aren't these things supposed to come with clips?
Not if you're older than 12.
Meanwhile, Kevin picks up Gwen for the dance, bringing her favorite flowers, but their plans take a turn when they have to go and help Ben. Turns out, Big Chill is just laying eggs, a process that only happens once every 80 years. Despite this awkwardness, Ben is relieved to be back to normal. And even though Kevin and Gwen miss the dance, they share a moment under the stars, making the night just as special. I have to admit, they look very cute together. Moving on to episode 5, Undercover. Kevin tries to get a teleporter working, but when he tests it, something goes wrong, and the whole thing kind of blows up. Realizing that he can't fix it alone, he suggests tracking down Cooper, who has the ability to mentally merge with and control any electronic device. But when they arrive at his lab, they discover that he's been kidnapped by the DNA aliens. Gwen manages to track him down, but when they reach the location, it seems completely empty. Until they notice that the DNA aliens have built a massive invisibility cloak to hide one of their biggest projects. Another 3 weather towers. Remember this, okay? This is going to be important for the future. So, after searching for a while, the team finally rescues Cooper.
She's wonderful.
Let's go, lover boy.
But before leaving, they decide to destroy the invisibility cloak. They manage to do so and successfully escape. Once they're safe, Ben knows that something sketchy must be going on, and it's only a matter of time before they have to return to uncover the truth. In episode 7, Grounded, Ben's parents accidentally discover his secret when they catch him transforming into an alien. Naturally, they are upset. Not just because he hid it from them, but because they're completely against this dangerous lifestyle filled with constant threat. As a result, they ground him, forbidding him from leaving his room. Meanwhile, Gwen and Kevin take on the DNAlians alone, as Gwen believes she's uncovered more information about their latest plan. Things take a turn when Ben's parents blame Gwen for involving him in this risky lifestyle, and she ends up getting grounded too.
Vilgax never gave me the mom look. Sorry.
Leaving Kevin to investigate the DNAlians' plans on his own. But Kevin quickly gets overwhelmed, so despite his punishment, Ben sneaks out to help. Once there, not only does he back up Kevin, but he also discovers what the DNAlians are up to. They're purifying isotopes for a power source. But why? Well, before they can figure that out, the hybrid commander attacks. And this time, Ben and Kevin are completely outnumbered. As they're about to lose, unexpected reinforcements arrive. Ben's parents. They jump into the fight, helping take down the DNAlians. In the end, not only do they lift Ben's punishment, but they also encourage him to continue protecting the planet. Let's move on to episode 8. Voided. Gwen receives a message from Helen asking for help as something's gone wrong inside the Null Void and they need reinforcements. Hearing this, Ben decides to go alone as he knows how dangerous the place is for Gwen and Kevin. Besides, somebody needs to stay to keep the portal open for his return. Once inside the Null Void, Ben quickly realizes that Helen and Manny aren't looking to escape. Instead, they called him to help fight someone known as the Void.
Dr. Animo?
And a fight breaks out. Turns out that he's been controlling creatures called the Guardians and using them to terrorize the inhabitants of the Null Void. After a brief fight, Ben, Helen, and Manny escape, and are led by their friend Pierce to meet the Range. To everybody's shock, the Range turns out to be none other than, and get ready for this, Grandpa Max. Apparently, he never died. When he set off that grenade, he was actually teleported into the Null Void. Man, this is just plot twist after plot twist. Max explains that Dr. Animo plans to use a machine capable of ripping a hole between dimensions, allowing his monstrous army to invade Earth. To stop him, Ben teams up with his grandfather and the Helpers, and together, they manage to defeat him. While celebrating their victory, Gwen manages to open a small portal for Ben to return. Ben urges Max to come with him, but Max chooses to stay behind, knowing there's still much work to be done in the Null Void. Though Ben returns home, he's happy to know that his grandfather is alive. Okay, in episode 12, War of the Worlds Part 1. After Azimuth's planet is conquered by the hybrids and DNAlians, Paradox takes him to see Ben.
I sincerely hope you'll reconsider in the next 3 seconds or so.
Believing he's the only one in the universe who can help fight them. When they arrive, Ben is shocked to see them, but immediately realizes that if they're here, something must be seriously wrong. Azimuth explains that they need his help, because Earth is the next planet on the hybrids list. Their plan is to construct jump gates on every planet they conquer, which are interstellar shortcuts that allow them to send warships across the galaxy in seconds. To stop them, the team must locate and destroy the jump gate on Earth, which Gwen deduces is hidden in the abandoned mine, the place where they rescued Cooper after he was kidnapped. Turns out they weren't just building weather towers, they were working on a whole jump gate. While Gwen, Kevin, and Paradox gather reinforcements, Ben and Azimuth have an important conversation about the Omnitrix. Azimuth reveals that the device is essentially a Noah's Ark for alien species, storing the DNA of over 1 million creatures. Because of its incredible value, Azimuth refuses to let Ben fight. If the Omnitrix is destroyed, all hope for the universe will be as well. However, Ben insists on joining the battle. The human race is on the line after all. After some hesitation, Azimuth agrees and grants Ben full access to the Omnitrix, allowing him to transform into millions of different aliens.
Access Master Control.
Master Control unlocked.
Just then, Gwen, Kevin, and Paradox arrive with their assembled team: Darkstar, Cooper, Ship, Julie, and Alan. With everyone together, they head to the hybrid base, not only battling them, but also using a machine Cooper built to turn the DNAlians back into humans after witnessing Ben using the Omnitrix for the same purpose. Ben also transforms for the first time into Way Big, his biggest alien, in an attempt to destroy the portal, but he fails. This is when the battle takes a dangerous turn, when the jump gate activates, opening a massive portal. Within seconds, a fleet of hybrid warships arrives, and it's just too much for the team. Gwen and the others begin to lose hope, thinking it's too late to stop the invasion. But Ben has a plan. Destroy the main control tower and force the hybrid captain to recall their ships. It sounds crazy, but the team backs him up. With Kevin's car, now super cool after being upgraded with alien tech, Ben, Gwen, and Kevin race to the tower. Once inside, they face off against the hybrid commander. When things start going in the wrong direction, Gwen transforms into her Anodite form and manages to take him down. She wants to stay in this powerful state, but Kevin convinces her to revert back to normal, admitting he's afraid of losing her because she's not ready for that much power. Pretty romantic, right? Meanwhile, Grandpa Max, Helen, Manny, and Pierce join the fight. But they soon realize that taking down the hybrid commanders won't be enough to stop the war. The real decision makers are at the hybrid homeworld. So while the others stay behind to battle the Dean aliens, Ben, Gwen, Kevin, Julie, and Asmith head through the portal to confront the Hybrid Supreme directly. There, Asmith reveals the shocking truth. The Hybrid aren't attacking out of superiority, but desperation.
This is the last generation of hybrids, is it not?
You are correct.
Their species is dying, and they're the last generation. Their solution? Wipe out all life in the universe so they don't die alone. What? I know that these guys are bad, but I don't know. I guess it kinda tugs at your heartstrings. That's when Ben comes up with a brilliant idea. Why not help them instead? Using the Omnitrix, he reprograms their DNA, infusing their genetic code with random alien species so that their lineage can continue. And it actually works. At first, the hybrid are furious, thinking that they've lost their purity. But then, an old hybrid commander, yes, the one that Ben bonded with in the episode Alone Together, the one he got stuck with on that desert planet where they had to work together to survive, steps in and convinces them otherwise. In the end, the hybrid call off the invasion and head back home. With the battle over, everybody goes their separate ways. Max takes the plumber kids with him for training, Gwen and Kevin leave to fix up his car, and Ben has a little chat with Asmith, because after using so much of the Omnitrix's power, the watch resets, giving him an entirely new set of aliens to figure out. Here we go. Again. Let's kick off the third season with Vengeance of Vilgax Part 1. Vilgax has returned. More powerful than ever. Yeah, Vilgax. Ben's ultimate archenemy, who first appears in the original series. Turns out Vilgax has defeated Ultimus, the most powerful hero on the planet, and stolen all of his power, now finally possessing the abilities of the greatest heroes from 10 different worlds. Great. What is his goal? To take revenge on Ben. Really great. On Earth, his loyal right-hand man, Siphon, prepares for his arrival. Meanwhile, Max, who's with the plumber's helpers, receives a signal and follows it to a park.
People of Earth, I am Vilgax.
Where they come face to face with Vilgax. Despite being outnumbered 6-1, Vilgax effortlessly defeats them. He then orders Max to bring Ben, declaring that if he refuses, he'll destroy the entire planet. Upon hearing the news, Ben gets excited. After all, he's already kicked Vilgax's butt once, why not do it again? But Gwen isn't so sure that it's going to be easy, knowing Vilgax is stronger than ever. Kevin suggests hacking the Omnitrix to give Ben full access for the battle. But Gwen isn't convinced that it's a good idea. Kevin doesn't care and does it anyway, only for Asmith to suddenly appear as a hologram, warning Ben not to do it, as he isn't ready for that much power.
Wanna help me?
No.
Scared of the little guy?
Yes.
But Ben doesn't listen, tries hacking the Omnitrix again, only for everything to spiral out of control, ending in a massive explosion. Hey, it's a new season. So, of course, there's a new villain, and of course, there's a massive hampering of the MC's power. Continuing from where we left off in the previous episode. After the explosion, things are far from okay. The Omnitrix is malfunctioning, 4 aliens have escaped from it, and Kevin has mutated into a fusion of different materials, unable to return to his normal form. Just a casual Tuesday for the denizens. Asmith, though, is furious. He reappears as a hologram and reprimands Ben for ignoring his warning, but ultimately explains how to reabsorb the escaped aliens back into the Omnitrix. There's a catch. Ben only has 24 hours to do so, or they will be lost forever. With the clock ticking and Vilgax waiting for their battle, the team rushes to track down the missing aliens. But capturing them is easier said than done. Goop, Spider-Monkey, and Chromostone put up a fight, forcing Ben and the others to take a beating before Ben finally manages to return them to the Omnitrix. Unfortunately, there's no time to find Waybig before the Battle of Vilgax.
Ben 10, I've come to kill you and conquer your world. Is now a bad time?
Once the battle begins, Ben throws everything he's got at Vilgax, but the Omnitrix keeps malfunctioning at certain moments. Just when it seems like he's handling the situation, Vilgax destroys Chromostone for a moment. Everyone believes that Ben has been defeated, but then, from the debris, he emerges, transformed as a Diamond Head, with renewed strength. Ben finally defeats Vilgax. He's won the battle. But one question remains. What really happened to Chromostone? And why is the Omnitrix still malfunctioning? Continuing with episode 9, In Charm's Way. Ben, Gwen, and Kevin are enjoying a day at the beach, when out of nowhere a monster emerges from the water and attacks them. However, the creature quickly retreats through a portal, leaving the trio confused about what just happened. On the other side of the portal stands Charmcaster, an old nemesis of Gwen, seeking revenge for Gwen stealing her spellbook. Her plan is to just straight up destroy Gwen, but upon realizing how close she is to Kevin, things change. Why not make her feel pain by taking away something Gwen really loves instead? Disguising herself as Caroline, Charmcaster approaches Kevin when he's alone, flirting with him and making him have doubts about Gwen by saying that she's selfish for not restoring him to his original form despite all of her magical abilities. Then she kisses him, placing him under a spell. This spell is solidified when she gives Kevin an enchanted necklace and instructs him to bring Gwen to the planetarium so she can steal her powers. Kevin returns to Gwen, who is with Ben, and tries to take her with him, but they immediately sense that something might be off. Gwen notices the necklace and breaks it, freeing him from the spell. And Kevin, now back to normal, reveals everything that happened with Charmcaster, including the kiss.
Is she cute?
Ben?
More than cute. Hot.
Kevin?
Furious but focused, Gwen wastes no time arguing and heads straight for the planetarium to confront her. Once there, Charmcaster, after a brief chat, steals all of Gwen's powers and disappears. Meanwhile, Ben and Kevin, who had been busy fighting the rock monsters, rush to Gwen's side. She's devastated, not just because she lost her magic, but because of what Kevin said about her not helping him go back to his original form. While Ben and Gwen walk away together, Kevin makes a reckless decision. He seeks out Charmcaster, hoping she can restore him. However, while asking, he also lets slip that she didn't fully drain Gwen's power. Seizing the opportunity, Charmcaster rushes back to Gwen, only to realize too late that it was all a trap. A fight breaks out between them, and this time, Gwen wins, reclaiming all of her power. Later, back at the beach, Ben confronts Kevin, telling him that he really hurt Gwen. Not just with the kiss, but with what he said. Kevin tries to argue, but Ben shuts him down, revealing that Gwen has been studying non-stop, desperately trying to find a way to help him return to normal. For the first time, Kevin realizes how badly he's messed up, and the guilt hits him hard. Moving on to episode 10, Ghost Town. Ben, Kevin, and Gwen are at mini-golf trying to capture an alien when they see something falling from the sky. They rush to investigate and quickly realize that it's not a meteor, it's Vilgax, and he's asking for their help.
What was it you needed?
I need your help.
He explains that Ghost Freak has escaped from a maximum security prison and taken over his planet by possessing everyone and turning them into his minions. Though the group doesn't trust Vilgax, they end up agreeing to help. After all, Ghost Freak is somebody that Ben wants locked up. Once at Vilgax's planet, their doubts about him disappear. The world is indeed under Ghost Freak's control, just as Vilgax had claimed. To stop him, the team quickly heads to the palace where Ghost Freak is hiding. Once inside, Ben comes up with a plan using the Omnitrix to transform himself into Ghost Freak. However, the plan backfires. As soon as Ben transforms, Ghost Freak takes control of his body, and this just leads to an intense battle between Ben/Ghost Freak and the rest of the team. However, after a tough fight, Ben manages to regain control of his body, and successfully traps Ghost Freak inside the Omnitrix. With Vilgax's planet finally freed, the team returns to Earth. But just as they leave, Vilgax declares that this is only the beginning, because now, thanks to Ghost Freak, he has full knowledge of how to steal the Omnitrix. Episode 14, Primus, opens with a flashback to the day Vilgax freed Ghost Freak from prison. Apparently, that day, Ghost Freak revealed a crucial secret on how to defeat Ben using something called Primus. Meanwhile, Ben, Gwen, and Kevin are fighting a robot when suddenly the Omnitrix starts to malfunction. Ben struggles to figure out what's going on, while Gwen and Kevin continue the fight. Before Ben can react, a bright green light bursts from the Omnitrix. In an instant, all three are teleported to an unknown planet. As soon as they arrive, the Omnitrix detaches from Ben's wrist, declaring that it must return to its creator. The device then heads towards what appears to be a volcano filled with glowing green lava. Without hesitation, the trio follow it. After all, without the Omnitrix, Ben is just a regular guy. After reaching the volcano, the trio witness a battle between Vilgax and what seems to be Humungosaur. At first, Ben assumes this is the so-called Primus, but they quickly realize it's actually Azimuth, who's now in possession of the Omnitrix. Seeing Azimuth struggling, Gwen and Kevin jump in to help, but Vilgax is too powerful and easily fights them, chaining them up. Azimuth manages to slip away and returns to reveal to the trio a shocking truth.
Quick, chew through our chains!
I am not a rodent.
Primus is not a person, but it's the planet itself. He explains that he created Primus as a massive database to store the DNA samples of every alien species. The Omnitrix is directly linked to this planet, which is why it functions the way that it does. While talking, Vilgax returns and demands Azimuth reveal how to control the Omnitrix. Azimuth refuses, but Ben steps in, offering to show Vilgax how it works. Of course, in exchange for Gwen and Kevin's freedom. Ben teaches him how to activate the Omnitrix, and for a brief moment, Vilgax gains control over its immense power. However, Ben cleverly reclaims the device, starting a huge fight. He transforms into Way-Big, and after an epic battle, he defeats Vilgax. In the aftermath, Azimuth lets Ben keep the Omnitrix once again. But this time, he takes extra precautions, assuring he'll hide Primus so well that no one will ever be able to find the planet again. In episode 18, Vendetta, Kevin seeks revenge against Ragnarok, the villain responsible for his father's death. Turns out that years ago, Devin, Kevin's father, worked alongside Max as a plumber. During one of their missions, Devin stole a key from Ragnarok but didn't make it out alive. Now in the present, Ragnarok has escaped from the Null Void, determined to get back his key. After learning the truth about his father's death, Kevin is consumed by anger and sets his way to face Ragnarok all by himself. However, Gwen and Ben, after learning the story from Grandpa Max, insist on helping Kevin, even if he disagrees. The trio fight Ragnarok, but he isn't interested in wasting time fighting them. He only cares about the key. So after realizing that Kevin has no idea where it is, he leaves. In fact, Kevin knows nothing about the key, but Gwen quickly steps in to help. Using her abilities, she goes inside Kevin's subconscious and locates it. The trio rushes to retrieve the key, but as soon as they manage to find it, Ragnarok reappears and takes it with him. Apparently, it's the key to his ship, which he plans to use to drain the sun's energy. Determined to stop him, the trio teleport onto Ragnarok's ship. However, Kevin insists on taking revenge alone, so he tricks Ben and Gwen into escape pods, sending them back to Earth while he stays to fight him. After an epic fight, Kevin not only kicks Ragnarok's butt, but also reclaims the key, because if anybody is getting closure today, it's gonna be Kevin. Continuing with episode 19, The Final Battle Part 1, Albedo, who escaped from prison, stole the Ultimatrix from Azimuth, hoping to restore his original form, an upgraded version of the Omnitrix that, by the way, doesn't have an owner. But things don't go as planned. The Ultimatrix is linked to Ben's Omnitrix, meaning Albedo now has to steal Ben's watch for his plan to work. Luckily, or unluckily for him, he's not alone. Vilgax is on his side. However, Vilgax makes it clear that he no longer cares about the Omnitrix. His only goal now is to eliminate Ben once and for all. Their plan is simple. Capture Ben's allies one by one until he's completely alone, making him an easy target. Albedo starts with Kevin, then Gwen.
Say goodnight, Gwen.
But when he goes after Max, he manages to escape. Max rushes to warn Ben, but before he can, Albedo sends him a message saying that if Ben wants to see his friends again, he must meet him at the coordinates that he sent. Max urges Ben to wait until he gathers the Plumber kids to form a plan, knowing well that Ben won't stand a chance alone. But in classic Ben behavior, he ignores the warning and goes in alone. Terrible idea. Albedo reveals that the Ultimatrix is even more powerful than the Omnitrix, as it can evolve any alien into its ultimate form. Outmatched, Ben realizes he's in trouble. And when he sees that Vilgax is teamed up with Albedo, he has no choice but to hand over the Omnitrix. Picking up exactly where we left off in the previous episode, Ben is lucky that Max arrives just in time to save them. After freeing Gwen and Kevin, Max hands Gwen her spellbook, which she immediately uses to teleport them to safety. Albedo demands the Omnitrix from Vilgax, but Vilgax betrays him. He synchronizes the Omnitrix with his minions, transforming them into Humongosaur, and captures Albedo. Meanwhile, in the van, Max and the trio are brainstorming a plan to get the Omnitrix back, but Ben, feeling overwhelmed, runs off. Gwen tries to stop him, but Max holds her back, reassuring her that Ben just needs some time alone. There's too much going on for him right now. Ben heads into the forest and calls on Azimuth for help. Azimuth appears and reveals that the Omnitrix was originally meant for Max, the greatest plumber. Ben only found it by accident. Azimuth assures him that Ben was worthy of the Omnitrix because Max convinced him that Ben was the right person for it. Encouraged by these words, Ben gains a new sense of courage and determination. He heads back to the van, ready to face Vilgax with a plan in mind. With Gwen's help, the team teleports to Vilgax's ship, where he plans to destroy Earth. Vilgax fights back, but Ben times the battle perfectly. He demands the Omnitrix back, threatening to activate the self-destruct mode. Vilgax has 30 seconds to return it or it will be destroyed forever. Vilgax doesn't comply, and sure enough, the Omnitrix begins to self-destruct. But in a twist of fate, something good happens from its destruction. Kevin returns to normal. He's no longer a mutant. And as a bonus, Kevin gets a kiss from Gwen. Finally! Without the Omnitrix, Ben decides to release Albedo, but only in exchange for the Ultimatrix. Ben regains all his powers and defeats Vilgax. Well, sort of.
Ultimate swamp fire!
The team manages to stop the Earth's destruction and send Vilgax's ship to the bottom of the sea, where it explodes in a massive burst. The group celebrates, relieved that it's all over. Ben, though, assures them that if Vilgax didn't die, it doesn't matter, because it'll just be another day for hero time. And there you have it. The full recap of Ben 10 Alien Force. Ben, 10 out of 10. I must say. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. And if you did, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and comment on what show you'd like for me to do next. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all next time. See ya.